Bart Heights here, back at Supreme Courts, week 4 of our play dates, and we're joined by special guest, the Huntsville Hoops Panthers, joined by Coach Christian Swears, joined by Jamari Arnold, and as always, Simon Walker. Look, Coach, let's just get right into it. Huntsville High School is a name now. You know, you've gotten up there, and everybody sees what's going on with your program. Expectations, we all talk about it. It's good to have you here, first of all, but talk a little bit about the expectations for your team that's coming up here.
Yeah, you said it, man. I mean, at some point when you start doing things the right way over and over and over, at some point in time in the journey, the deal flips, and now there's a target on your back, and these guys have run into that this summer, and we're not going to sneak up on anybody next year. You know, I think the last couple of years we've been able to be a kind of underdog, and I think now there's a different narrative, and so the reality, though, is that it doesn't change what our goals are day to day for the course of the season, and that's to control the controllables. And those are, we want to be the hardest playing team out there. We want to be the toughest team and the most unselfish team. We feel like if we are consumed with that, everything else takes care of itself. And so regardless of the way people look at us on paper or look at us on a floor or whatever people might want to say on social media, we're going to stick to that. And we're going to let the chips fall where they may.
Great answer. It is different when you start playing with that target on your back. We discussed earlier you haven't been at really full strength all year. Jamari, watching you last year, man, some people will. Everybody kind of knows that. Just tenacious. That's the way you play. Doesn't really matter what that's what I've seen. But speak a little bit to being the leader, of this team. Ball's in your hand a lot. You control. You're kind of the head of the snake, offensively and defensively. Talk about that accountability and what that the opportunity that brings for your game that Coach Swears has allowed you to do.
So this year I'm running the one this year. I was a two, really just looking to take shots. But now guys like him, I got shooters off the ball. But took care for them more. Got my big man still. He's still not back. He's still not fully healthy. He gonna be good. And just in the locker room, or just me taking the time out to ask them, do they want to get shots up when we have an off day or stuff like that. Just little stuff like that. When they see me working, they gonna want to work as hard as I do too.
And carry on into that just real quick. Talk about this guy. Since he's been around playing with you, what do you like about his game?
Man, he knock down shooter. I have the most confidence in the shot, and he's really just a great guy off the court. He's a dog, really. He's a dog, and you can see that anytime he steps on the floor. He's gonna talk. He's gonna do all of it. I love him.
7A state championship experience. You have that. You walked that walk. You played in that game. One of the most high-level games, intensity, electricity-wise. I've talked about it earlier on camera and off that I've ever seen. Simon, talk a little bit about that. You're going to be playing with this guy. What do you like about his game, number one, and playing with him? And number two, how are you implementing that experience that you have on your new teammates?
Since I've been here, Man's just been he's exceeded my expectations as far as being able to complement each other, and we know that some games might not be ours. We got to look for others, so we'll be able to complement each other well, which we've done really well this summer. And taking that experience from March, just knowing the emotion that I felt after losing that game, I don't ever want to experience that again. I don't want them to go through that. So it gives you something to work for.
It totally gives you something to work for. Coach, you're a Montgomery guy. We've talked about this before. If you would speak a little bit to Huntsville basketball as a whole, and we know how big it is now, and just the explosion that we've seen. I came to a couple of games, especially in your area with Grissom, Altville, Spartan. Those are huge games. But is it even more than you thought when you got up there?
Absolutely. I was in Birmingham 10 years, and we used to hear down in Birmingham that basketball was different than 2-5-6, and we used to kind of joke about that.
It didn't make you mad.
It didn't make me mad because we thought we had good basketball. And the reality is, I got to Huntsville, and I remember it was November, and it was packed at Bob Jones for our season opener, and that never would have occurred in Birmingham. People were still stuck in kind of football mode, and I realized that basketball is a big deal here. Our area games, as you mentioned, are packed out. Over the course of the last few years, we've developed a culture at our place, and it's fun. It's a fun environment. I'm proud of that culture. Our student section does a great job, but just the city of Huntsville is into basketball, and as good as it is right now, any given night you can have that environment depending on where you go.
100%. And it is. I'm just been so blessed to be a part of it, and I look forward to doing that more. All right, so Jamari, you talked about some of the strengths, some of the things that like you do well. What are some of the things that you've got to work on from now until the start of the season and then carry out through the season that you feel like might be a weakness, something coaches on you about, just some things you can develop to get better that will help your team and also help your recruitment?
Well, I haven't played like the true PG since my freshman year, so I got to get back into contributing for getting shots, looking for shots myself, and finding a balance, looking for shots for my teammates too. And I mean, just staying hungry. We haven't accomplished anything with this new team, and they expect us to be good without even seeing us, like without us even doing anything. So just make sure all the guys hungry, being a leader, talking more, and we'll figure it all out.
What's the part of your game you got to expand this on?
Just as a shooter, there's always that feeling like if the shot's not going in, you're playing awful. But I'm working on that. Like Coach says, if your shot's not falling, it doesn't mean you play bad. You can still work on other parts of your game, make sure that. Then strength is a big factor for me, and just staying locked in all the time.
Night in, night out, how difficult is it with all these coaches, but not just Huntsville, this summer, as basketball has started growing, you can't take any time off. Why is that so much different than it used to be for basketball as a whole in Alabama?
It's a great question and a great point, because I was talking about this earlier with somebody that it just seems like each summer we're doing more and more, and these guys have got to treat their bodies like NBA guys do in terms of rest, recovery,
Yes.
putting the right things in, getting sleep at night. Because I didn't play this much in the summer. Did you?
No, I played football and baseball.
That's right. And so it's it's a grind on their bodies, and I'm sure we can probably help out. We're on the summer tour. We're playing all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and we like it. And so, but it goes quick. We talk about it all the time. You can't get anything back. And so these are moments that you're going to want to have back one day. And so we just want to kind of be in the moment, take advantage of it.
So, all right, you two. If we're going through this season, I want you. I got one more question for him because I love the way y'all play. And I got one more question I want to ask you. Actually, Coach, I'll go ahead and ask you, and then I'll ask them. That'd be better.
Yeah.
If I look at the stat sheet, end of the game, Huntsville High Panthers, and yes, a W, but a successful evening. What 3 key ingredients on the stat sheet will be accomplished every night for your team?
That's good. So we look at our stat sheet on our iPad at halftime in the games in the regular season, and my eyes tend to go to offensive rebounds, look at ours, look at the plus minus with the other team. I look at assists, look at turnovers, I look at the free throw line, and naturally I look at the three-point line. I think we have a lot of really good shooters, and I think that's a big deal. But if like we had a game last week where we played really well, all right, we won the game, but we only made 1 3. Right. But the rebounding margin was so great, and the other team and our twos we had a ton of twos that game, so we were living at the rim, and so that's kind of something that we look at. I really like our IQ and our skill level should be so good this year that assist to turnover thing should be 2 to 1 in my opinion as a team. And so that's something we've been harping on this summer about high risk passes and making the right play every decision. And if a team does that 2 to 1, usually they're pretty good.
Excellent point. All right, in both of your words, Jamari, you first. Give me the storybook season, storybook ending to this year for the Huntsville Panthers. What does it look like from beginning to end?
I want us to just go ahead and dominate each team, every game, every tournament we go to. I just want us to just play to our potential because we have the players, we got the keys. What's the saying? The Vaughn.
TTW? What you got?
What's
The Hayes and what's I used to say?
The hay is in the barn, let's ball.
Hay is in the barn.
Yeah, that's like
Let's go.
I do a quote of the day. every
Yes!
practice.
Every
So that's always
That
the
was
quote
it.
before
That
the
was it.
first game of the season.
The Hayes in the
Hayes in the
And
barn,
Masai
let's
Morris,
ball.
our point guard that just graduated, he used to love
He used
that.
to love saying
Let's
that.
go, coach. I
But
love
meaning
it.
the work is done.
It's done.
Let's go hoop.
It's time to go play, man, and have fun.
That's
It
right.
looks like y'all are. It's coming together. So I'm not gonna leave you out now. Give it to me.
Just staying hungry all season.
Yeah.
Just don't get lax. Don't think we've accomplished anything. Because until March, we didn't really accomplish anything. So just staying hungry, just staying toughest team out there, most selfish team, just staying hungry.
Well, it's not all quite together yet. All the pieces are coming together. There are big expectations for Huntsville this year, but you heard it. Hayes in the barn, it's time to ball. So we look forward to seeing the Huntsville Panthers. Coach, thank you. Man, Simon, I look forward to watching y'all play. Good luck. Thank you for coming to join us at Spring Course.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you.